Young children need opportunity for movement and exercise. Called gross motor play in early childhood education, they're using their large muscles, as opposed to fine motor play where you're using small muscles. Today I thought I'd go over some opportunities that you might find in your home or just outside your home to get your kids using their gross motor skills. My first example is Hopscotch, which is one of my favorite games because it's so versatile. You can set up Hopscotch in your home by using painter's tape. Outside you can use chalk. There's a variety of ways to set this up. Hopscotch is great because for older kids you can have them identify numbers and letters, but for younger kids it's great to have them pick out patterns or colors or shapes, especially when a child is using a shaped block and leaning over to put that shape in the box. That's a fantastic way to use Hopscotch, gross motor skills, but also get them to do some sorting and shape identification. One of the things I really love is when we use a fine motor toy in a gross motor way. Here's a perfect example. My friend's son has some small cars, and she set up a rainbow in front of him, and so he's using these big sweeping motions with his arm with traditionally fine motor play of the small toy. So I really like those kinds of opportunities when you think of them. Using a ball is a great way, obviously, to get kids using their large muscles. One example for younger kids might be to put them on a table, as my friend did with her son here, and have them roll the ball into specific cups based on letter, color, number, pattern, whatever you want to do in that regard. My children are a bit older and I had them playing some bowling games. We set up a bowling alley on my deck. All I needed was some recycled bottles, some paper, but you could have used tape or chalk just the same to set up the alley, and then my dog's disgusting ball, which they then rolled and hit the bowling pins, which were bottles. So you can have them do that and call out different numbers and names or colors if you want to increase the challenge. Obstacle courses are a great way to get kids using large muscle skills. So in my house, I set up an obstacle course with some blocks, and you can do this in any way. If you don't have blocks to get kids to balance on, you could have them balance on tape or a rolled sheet if you have a couple rolled sheets that you can do that with. And so I had them working with, at first, a tray, but later I turned the tray on the other side and had them carry a plastic cup full of water. You can also have kids, just to increase the challenge, carry a spoon with a cylindrical object. For young kids, you can use a deep spoon like this, which makes it a bit easier. And for older kids, you can challenge them to run with a flat spoon like this, which is a great idea. I even had my children transferring water, which introduces yet another skill to this large muscle play. So I had them transfer water from one end of the yard to the other, but I also had them transfer it with a cup with holes in it, which is particularly challenging. And so risky play and challenges like this are great for kids. Obviously, they have to think about their movement through their environment in specific ways, but it also increases their confidence, which I think is an important part of gross motor skills. So another aspect that I think is important is using different weights of objects when doing gross motor play. An example might be throwing feathers around and having children catch them. Bubbles are a great way to get kids catching different objects and running around through space. If you don't have bubbles, you can use dish soap and glycerin, works just as well. And the balloon. Balloons are fantastic for this. As everyone knows, if they've had a child cooped up inside during bad weather or when they're sick, a balloon is a great way to get kids moving around. Another opportunity, I think, to use the large muscles would be to create some musical instruments in your home. These are sensory bottles that I made out of a recycled bottle from my recycling bin, and I just added some beads. You can use this kind of as a shaker. Different colored beads here. My daughter made a maraca using 2 spoons like this, and then putting some tiny seed beads inside it and wrapping it with tape. You can do the same exact thing with to make a rain stick. Just fill this with beads. You can decorate it, shut off both ends either with a balloon or some tape, and you can shake it. Tambourines are also great. This is 2 paper plates, some string with some tape at the end that you can lace through. That's a fine motor skill, but once you introduce some beads on the inside, close it up, it becomes a tambourine. And lastly, I have some drums here that I can show you. Again, from my recycling bin, this on top is a balloon that you can just stretch carefully over the can or the recycled whatever this is, canister, and then it becomes a drum. You might need to put an elastic band around the top there and try to use, safe materials that are not sharp, that kind of thing. So just to recap, gross motor play is using the large muscles in movement with young children. They really enjoy challenges, and there's a lot of different ways you can rethink fine motor toys in your home and make it into gross motor play. Have fun out there, and keep checking back on our Facebook user page for videos in the next coming weeks. Thanks.